The golden age of piracy did not end with a slow fade into the horizon, but rather with a thunderous clash of steel and the smell of gunpowder. Following the War of the Spanish Succession, the Caribbean had become a lawless frontier. Nassau, on New Providence Island, had transformed into a self-proclaimed republic of pirates, a haven for thousands of ex-privateers and sailors who chose to live under the black flag rather than face poverty. By 1715, this island was a buzzing hive of rogues, all seeking fortune by plundering the merchant fleets of Great Britain, France, and Spain. But the British Empire was preparing a response that would dismantle this criminal utopia once and for all. The year 1718 marked the beginning of the end. The British government, desperate to restore order and secure trade routes, appointed Woodes Rogers as the new governor of the Bahamas. Rogers, an experienced sea captain himself, arrived with a two-pronged strategy: the promise of mercy and the threat of total destruction. King George III had issued a royal proclamation offering a full pardon to any pirate who surrendered before the deadline. This act of grace fractured the pirate community. Men like Benjamin Hornigold and Henry Jennings saw it as a chance to legitimize their wealth and retire. Others, led by the defiant Charles Vane, saw it as a trap. Vane and his followers refused to bow to the crown, turning Nassau into a powder keg of tension between those seeking redemption and those committed to the outlaw life. When Woodes Rogers arrived in Nassau Harbor with a flotilla of warships, the situation turned explosive. Charles Vane, realizing he was trapped, executed a daring and desperate escape. He set a captured ship on fire and sent it drifting toward the British frigates, forcing them to cut their anchors to avoid the inferno. In the ensuing chaos, Vane slipped through a narrow channel and escaped into the open sea. While Rogers took control of the crumbling fort in Nassau, he inherited a colony plagued by disease, hunger, and the constant threat of Spanish invasion. The Republic of Pirates was officially dead, replaced by a struggling British outpost. But the most iconic figure of the era remained at large: Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard. Blackbeard was a master of psychological warfare, but even he knew the tide was turning. He sought one final massive score before attempting to disappear into a quiet retirement. In May 1718, he led a terrifying blockade of Charleston, South Carolina, seizing ships and taking prominent citizens hostage, not for gold, but for a chest of medicines to treat his ailing crew. After securing his ransom, he intentionally grounded his flagship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, and betrayed many of his own men to consolidate his wealth. He fled to North Carolina, where he bribed Governor Charles Eden for a pardon, while continuing to use the coast as a base for his illicit activities. Blackbeard believed he was safe under the protection of a corrupt governor, but he had underestimated the resolve of Virginia's Governor Alexander Spotswood. Spotswood, acting without legal authority to cross colonial borders, funded a private expedition to hunt Blackbeard down. He placed Lieutenant Robert Maynard in command of two small sloops, the Jane and the Ranger. On November 26, 1718, the hunt reached its bloody conclusion at Ocracoke Inlet. The battle was a brutal, close-quarters struggle. Maynard's men hid below deck to lure the pirates into boarding, and when Blackbeard stepped onto the Jane, he was met with a wall of British sailors. The legendary pirate fought like a demon, sustaining 5 gunshot wounds and 20 sword cuts. It took a final heavy blow from a Scottish Highlander to end his life. Blackbeard's head was severed and hung from the bowsprit of Maynard's ship as a grim trophy. The death of Blackbeard signaled the definitive collapse of the pirate era. With the most feared captain dead and Nassau under British control, the law of the sea was being rewritten. By 1721, other notorious figures like Charles Vane and Jack Rackham had been captured and executed. The Caribbean, once infested with thieves and cutthroats, was slowly tamed. Though stories of their exploits would live on in legends and books like A General History of the Pirates, the reality of the Golden Age was one of violence, betrayal, and a brief, doomed rebellion against the world's most powerful empires. The pirates were gone, but their legacy of defiance continues to captivate the world's imagination to this day. This is the story of how an empire reclaimed the seas and silenced the black flag forever. Thank you for watching KyneAndCo.